Have a seat right here.
Great.
All right, let me ask you some questions. First, let me just say this. I've lived in Orange County 34 years. I watched the Orange County Register and the LA Times go down like this every year, until you and Aaron showed up. And all of a sudden I'm going, this thing's worth reading. And I've never, honestly, and I'm not saying this because Eric's here, I invited him because I believe this. I've never seen a turnaround this fantastic. And all of a sudden it was like, I was looking forward to reading the paper. I was looking forward to seeing what was in it. And I'm just going, this is a whole new ball game. Because I've watched when Freedom Communications over the years, 2 or 3 times they tried to reinvent the paper, but it was simply new graphics, new font, new logo. We're changing life to home. But it was the same cruddy content. And there wasn't anything different. Let me ask you, now let's take what you did and apply it to, say, a small business owner, something like that. One of the things you talked about is you're using both rewards and recognition. You put people's name in the paper, and you're giving them additional rewards for their loyalty to the content. How would you do that? How does a customer, how does a business owner figure out how to reward or recognize customers?
I think it's really about thinking about your business differently than you might normally think about it. What are the things that you can deliver that are not necessarily straight down the pike, right? Mm-hmm. You're a dry cleaner. Mm-hmm. You're gonna deliver clean clothes.
Not the traditional thing you're expected to
Think
deliver.
about what your customer is coming in to you to get, and then how can you expand that value beyond what they expect? And I think you will get rewarded for that.
Okay, let's talk about, for instance, experience. When people go into Starbucks, they're not just getting a cup of coffee. There's an experience. It's the way Starbucks makes you feel when you're there. Okay, how would somebody else do that? How would you create an experience? Let's say if you are like you say, a cleaner or something like that.
I think the main answer is recognize that your product is only a piece of what you are delivering to your customer. I think most people don't necessarily recognize.
Did you write that down? Recognize that your product is only a piece of what you're offering the customer. You offer them so much more. You can offer them rewards, recognition, experience, stuff like that.
I think it's all about an experience. Like, I think the word experience encompasses everything, right? So the experience is not just the experience I get when I walk in your store. It's the experience I get when I come home with your product. It's the experience I get when I call your customer service line. It's the experience I get when I return, when I want to make change, when I have a problem. But it's all about the experience. And I think once you realize that that is the holy grail, you start to get ideas around how you can improve it.
You said something there just now about how you answer customer service. A lot of people don't realize that every complaint is an opportunity to build loyalty. How you handle that complaint will actually build greater loyalty than if they didn't have a complaint.
Yep, it's fascinating. I'll tell an interesting story about the Register. One of the most successful things that we have done has been in our customer service department.
Okay.
We completely revamped the call center. We took everybody, built them a new office, trained them, and tried to figure out how we could improve a single phenomenon in the newspaper business. First of all, once you realize that you're in the subscriber business, not the advertiser business, you got to pay attention to the subscribers a little more. It turns out that the newspaper industry is a high churn industry. So we lose tens of thousands of subscribers every year, and we gain tens of thousands more.
It's kind of like churches.
So there's a great opportunity to stop the sieve, right?
Yeah.
Well, what we have that you may or may not have is the fact that 70% of everyone who stops a newspaper subscription, you know what they do? They call you first to tell you to stop. Okay? So there's a phrase in the newspaper industry, it's called stop saves.
Stop saves.
Right?
That makes sense.
Somebody calls, they want to stop, you save them.
Yeah.
That's a stop save. The normal industry standard is 15 to 18%. That's what it was when we got to the Register. We took the rewards from the loyalty program from Register Connect, And now when you call to stop, the person on the other end of the line says, well, would you stick around if I gave you 4 Angels tickets?
Hello.
And guess what?
Yeah.
A lot of people say yes. So we've stopped.
That's a great idea.
We've increased our
That's a
stop
great idea.
saves. Well, the beauty of it is that if they say, we're not baseball fans, we say, how about the Long Beach Aquarium? How about Del Mar Racetrack? How about, and we go through the
Saddleback
list.
Church.
Saddleback Church.
1 year, no tithe.
We'll have to work on that.
Yeah, we'll work on that one. All right, all right.
But we have taken stop saves to over 50%.
Amazing. That is amazing. So you're not losing like everybody else does.
We are saving them, and it's funny because when we started to tell that story, people would say, but what happens when they stop again after they don't use it? Well, guess what? By that point, we've taught them that it's just part of the program.
Yeah.
We didn't give you anything that you don't already get.
Yeah.
Right? So it works.
Well, now, you know, in America, 15% of America moves every year. So, for instance, as a church, theoretically, over 6 years, you could have almost 100% turnover because people are literally moving all the time. And so when they move, if they move from one point of the county to another, you're going to do that stop save.
Right.
That's great. Okay, now this whole story is you went out and looked at Orange County and just said, this isn't just a county. This is a mosaic of a lot of different niches. And you went on a niche hunt, okay? And you said, we're going to go after these guys, and all that. How would another company begin to look and say, I don't just have a generic customer. I got these kind of customers and these kind of customers. How would you do that?
Well, let me tell you how we did it, because we did it pretty methodically, and then I'll get into suggestions. So we believe that everyone has 4 or 5 passion areas, right? Things that they really believe in, whether it's cars or boating or their faith or their local community or their kids' high school sports.
That's good.
And we believe that if we can deliver value, so breadth and depth of content, in 2 or 3 of everyone's 4 or 5, then the $1 a day that we ask them to pay is nothing.
Yeah.
However, if we're asking you to pay $1 for a whole bunch of content that you don't care about, you're not going to pay. So it was fundamentally the driver for how we delivered these 25 new sections. So I would suggest, as a business owner, you start to think about what your customers care about. What are their passion areas? So as opposed to demographics or psychographics or who they are, what do they care about relative to your business?
You know, this is really interesting because I watched you start, for instance, a page for Chapman University and UC Irvine. I'm going, that's just flat out brilliant. Because how many alumni live in each of these areas? And they go, well, I want to read stuff about my school. Well, nobody ever thought of that because they're not just Orange County residents. They're, well, I went to Cal State Fullerton.
Right.
That's amazing. Now, the basis of everything you did in this turnaround really required that you go against conventional wisdom. You started out explaining to us how the entire print industry is going this direction toward free digital and trying to make it on digital advertising. And you're going, no, we're going to go the exact opposite. We're going to swim upstream. Was that a gut decision? Was that a scientific decision? And what gave you the courage to do that so that if somebody here goes, all of my industry is going this way, am I going to follow the crowd or am I going to counter-program and go the exact opposite?
It's a great question. First of all, I don't think that somebody who was resident in this industry could have made the decision that we made. It only was available to us because we didn't come from the newspaper industry. My background and Aaron's background is both digital. I'm a digital native. I started my first digital company in 1997, was the CEO of an internet company from 97 to 2004, and have launched digital companies for the last 17 years. So I understand how hard it is to make money in digital. I actually believe that most people have a false sense of ease around how easy it is for someone to make money in digital. It looks like all you have to do is start a company and Facebook will buy you for $19 billion, right? The reality is that you have a better chance of winning the lottery. I swear to God, you have a better chance of winning the lottery than to create a company that Google, Facebook, or Yahoo is gonna buy. And when you look at these companies, they're all without revenue by the time they get bought. So they are literally building companies hoping that they get bought. Buy a lottery ticket, seriously, you have a much better chance.
You talked about servant leadership and Greenleaf, and I've read all of his books. Those are fantastic books. What does it mean to serve the community? If I'm a business and I go, I got a product here, but how do I serve the community too?
That's a good question. It's hard in the abstract. I'm gonna tell you some of the things that we have done. I think that first and foremost, what you need to do is commit to it and make that a fundamental part of what you are trying to do, because trust me, you will have a lot of opportunities to go against that decision, right? You know that every day, right? It's a heck of a lot easier not to serve, right? But if you're committed to serving, what we have done is every time we have an opportunity to create a new section, we start to consider, well, what's the value of that to the community? We launched a Everyday Heroes program where we now, once a week, recognize a fireman, a nurse, someone who is unsung in the community, who's done something great. We found sponsors to help us pay for the prizes. I think the prize is really interesting. They get a weekend at the suite at the Montage. Something you'd never buy for yourself, right? So every week we're giving that to someone in the community, and the winner for the year got a car from Flattabo Ford.
Yeah. You know, you said people obviously want to see their name in the paper. I mean, I love to read news, but I really love to read news about me.
Yeah.
Okay. And people want to read news about themselves. They want to see their name. I mean, and it's like in an annual, in the yearbook, what picture do you look at first? How do I look? Okay, and if you look good in the picture, it's a great picture, okay? But you know, if you don't look good, that picture sucks. And so people want to see their name. Obviously, you can do that because you've got to think. How can you recognize, what might be some ways that another business might be able to recognize their customer?
I have a great idea.
Yeah.
It is a great use of Facebook, right? Because I can't figure out how to use Facebook for a business. I tried for a long time. I think that Facebook is a consumer medium. It's social media. It is exactly the place that you don't want a commercial relationship. You want to talk to your friends. So if you get people to come to your Facebook site, recognize some of your good customers.
Oh, that's a great
Use
idea.
that as a
That's
place
great
to do
idea.
it. That's where people want to see their faces.
That makes sense. You said subscribers are first, advertising is second. Make a pitch right now for why print advertising is a better deal for my money than digital.
Thank you. Sure.
That's a freebie. That's a softball.
Because customers read it, first and foremost. Because print advertising, I have a continuum I put up on my whiteboard, and it lists the different media platforms, television, radio, print, outdoor, and digital, based on the proximity of advertising to content, right? Where is the advertising most like the content? Because we all read these platforms because we want the content. And the advertising we don't really want. So the closer you can get the advertising to the content, the better it's gonna work. My argument, I think it's provable.
Can you use that content to be an advertisement? Like an advertorial?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's interesting because the digital industry, the digital advertising industry, has made that their new rallying cry. Sponsored content. We laugh a little because sponsored content is advertorial. It's been around forever. It's nothing new. What's going to happen is it's going to originate in digital, and you're gonna see a lot of digital sponsored content. And then guess what? It's gonna migrate to print because it works better and it's more valuable, right? But if you look at print as content, I talked earlier, the ads are glossy. Anybody ever read a Rob report? Right? Pick it up. I have one on my table in the office because it's fascinating. There are literally 52 pages of ads before you get to the table of contents.
Wow.
You're literally clipping through the watch ads, the car ads, the Bulgari ads, right? They're beautiful. It's content. It's what people want to see. Television, we kind of flip through it. We TiVo through it if we don't want to read the ads. Radio, we flip the channel when we get to the ads. Sometimes if the announcer is doing the ads, we sit through it because we like him, we trust him. Billboards, outdoor, I think they've come up with some of the best ads going when they tell you something you didn't know, like there's a TV show on tonight. You should watch it. Oh, I forgot that game was on tonight. It's on the digital ad board. But to my mind, the least content-driven advertising platform is digital. It's the place where we want the ads the least. And I know the digital guys will say, but retargeting, we're gonna get you the content that we know you like. Yeah, I still don't wanna buy the product, but it is an affinity for me that I like the Flyers or the Ducks, or then you're gonna show me a sweatshirt or a hat, right? But it's still an annoyance, and it's not something that we want to click through. Frankly, we're afraid to click through because we never know where it's gonna take us.
Yeah, right, yeah. You know, there's another thing, we'll close with this. I think if I'm driving in the car and I'm listening to the radio and I hear an ad, it's an ad when I'm not even thinking about it. Okay, I'm on my way going somewhere to get something. If I watch TV, I'm not watching television for the ads. In fact, I want to click through it. When I read something, whether it's a magazine, a book, or a paper, that's a time of relaxation for me. I don't read it till I want to read it. Right. Does that make sense? It can sit there and I can wait 9 hours and I'm not going to lose it. But when I sit down, I get something to eat, and I start looking through the magazine, or looking through the paper, or reading the book. And so the message comes to me when I'm more relaxed, and I get it when I'm ready to get it. I think that makes me more receptive. Let's welcome Eric Spitz. Thank him for this great message.